dramatic image of the riders on their warm-up, the first of their warm-up laps, coming down the hill into Duffus Dip there, and then through Leslie's right into the Scotsman, and then tiptoeing their way through the other hollow at Butchers up to the Arnold Clark chicane onto the back straight. This could be a very, very dramatic race indeed. The one guy who I need to mention is Billy McConnell. Skippy had a wonderful first race, said that he was feeling much more like his old self on the FS3 racing. Kawasaki ran out of petrol on the last lap and robbed himself of a top 8 position. So that left, obviously, it was Leon Haslam who won the race from Linfoot and Mossy. Hopkins in 4th ahead of Hickman, Cooper, Ellison, Laverty, O'Halloran, and 10th place Danny Buchan, 11th place Glenn Irwin. Leon Haslam on 118 points now, 28 points to the good over Shane Byrne after his early exit, who is still, probably didn't expect to be still ahead of Christian Idden after that exit, but in fact Christian had a fairly miserable race to finish in 14th place and get just 2 measly points. Richard Cooper closed the gap in 4th ahead of Laverty and O'Halloran. James Ellison now level with Jason O'Halloran, joint 6th ahead of Peter Hickman, Dan Linfoot and Luke Mossy. Tommy Bridewell on 42 points is 11th. John Hopkins on the ePayMe Yamaha now 12th ahead of Lee Jackson. Glenn Irwin 14th ahead of the absent Jack Kennedy. Alistair Seeley in 16th place ahead of Danny, well, level with Danny Buchan, 1 point clear of Stuart Easton. The new starting grid for the second race. Dan Linfoot, just a couple of tenths shy of the lap record, was the fastest man on track in the first race. He's on pole ahead of Luke Mossy and Michael Laverty, who set that time early in that race. John Hopkins 4th on the grid again. Leon Haslam, race winner, is 5th on the grid ahead of his teammate Peter Hickman. The third row features James Ellison, 3 JG Speedfit Kawasaki's in a row, in fact. Richard Cooper's build-based BMW and Glenn Irwin's Ducati. And row 4, Danny Buchan, Shane Byrne, Jason O'Halloran back in 12th place after starting the first race in 2nd. And these conditions make it a really, really strange, even playing field. Look at Linfoot trying to get some heat in that back rear tyre before they get started. Once those lights go out, this start is going to be so crucial. Linfoot knows he needs to get off the line well, and he does get off the line well. Not quite as good a start for Mossy, number 12, getting swallowed up by the pack. Hopkins, the vast experience of the former MotoGP star. Oh, and several riders take the shortcut, including Leon Haslam, the first race winner. And Ellison squeezes it back to 5th place. Whoa, one guy lost his footing, another guy goes down at the back.
That's Cooper.
And that's Cooper Smirch.
That's Cooper Smirch.
Celebrating, if that's the right word, his 70th appearance in a British Superbike race. The man from the Czech Republic is knocked off in the first turn.
Yeah, well, look at Smirch there, just because he was on the outside of a kind of domino effect there. Hickman, number 60, into 2nd, and he loves these conditions. I would expect him to be as good as Linfoot. And then...
where's Hopkins gone back to about 6th place?
Yeah, there he is.
And I think that was Shaky Byrne squeezing underneath him, coming through the hairpin to try and make amends for his first race. On to the second lap, Linfoot, Hickman, Cooper, who also loves it when it gets sketchy. Very sketchy. Haslam, though, squeezes through in the first turn. Yeah. Byrne is 5th, Hopkins 6th, Laverty 7th, O'Halloran 8th, Irwin and Ellison. The camera's underwater.
I was just going to say, is it our camera or my glasses? I'm not too sure.
So Dan Linfoot leading the way at the moment. 2nd place for Peter Hickman, and the Honda and Kawasaki just pulling a little bit of gap. Look at that, Richard Cooper has retaken 3rd place from Leon Haslam, who's under pressure for Shaky Byrne.
Yeah, that's right, and I might have been doing Dan Linfoot a disservice there, saying that Hickman would possibly be better in the wet. Remember how quick Linfoot went to Alton Park in similar conditions to this.
And these conditions have got... Oh, that was a late move there by Leon Haslam, just to say squeezed his way through. And I think possibly on Richard Cooper. Did he make it stick? Oh, they were neck and neck over the crest of the hill with the Kawasaki pawing the air. But yes, this time he made it stick. Richard Cooper back to 4th.
Yeah, Haslam and Cooper, really good mates. The mini bike, pit bike together, that's what they call it. This is lap 1, and now that's Haslam and his teammate Ellison that went across the escape road there. And this is the Cooper Smirts watch on the outside, and the back wheel ain't going to move. There's more weight on it, and that knocked his front wheel up from under him.
Well, it was complete mayhem. It was amazing that everybody stayed upright then. It was actually, did you notice, Danny Buchan got bumped aside by Shaky Byrne, one Ducati on another.
Now, one of the problems that Hickman's got is the fact that there's a lot of spray will be coming up from...
Oh, not for long.
Yep, and that's it. And it's actually a nice, clean move, but it is better out front, just because you just don't get the spray.
Leon Haslam spectacularly wheeling his way over the crest of the hill there in third place. Richard Cooper with Shaky Byrne for company as they drop down into Duffer's Dip. And behind them, Hopkins in sixth. Irwin having a good ride in seventh, ahead of Ellison, who's moved eighth in front of Laverty and O'Halloran.
Yeah.
So James Ellison is the man who's massively on the move here.
He has to be, though.
He had grabbed 2 places in the 1 lap there, as Linfoot once again has a go at the lead, going through Clark's, where he ended up on his backside 12 months ago. Obviously, you're not thinking about that right now. A clean pass on Peter Hickman, and he needs to do it, because here comes Haslam. Waving that threatening leg, Leon Haslam then right behind his teammate Peter Hickman.
It's really funny in a way, you know, you get passed by somebody who's been going quicker than you, and you see them in front and see where they're a bit quicker, and you can sort of raise your game sometimes and just go as quick as them. Haslam looks the quickest man on track at the minute, though, and you know he's brave. Oh, as is Hickman.
And Hickman just decided not to relent on against the onslaught of his teammate there.
This is good for Linfoot, because the 2 teammates at JG Speak for Hickman and Haslam beating each other up might just give him a little bit of breathing space.
6th place Hopkins, then a little gap back to Glenn Irwin, then it's Ellison having fought his way past O'Halloran. Now gets the better of Michael Laverty and moves into 9th place. Christian Hiddens 11th, Tommy Bridewell up to 12th.
Yeah, O'Halloran really good in these conditions, but from where he was on the grid, it was always going to be a massive ask. He's going to ask to be up front this early.
As they storm up the hill once again to complete 5 laps out of 30 then. And the race lead, half a second for Dan Linfoot ahead of the 2 JG Speed big boys.
And it's Shane Byrne who's quickest man on track, and I did suspect that. He's right on the back of the leading bunch now. There he is, in 4th.
And the rain properly pouring down here at KnockHill. It started out as such a glorious morning, but these things around here, then things tend to change fairly rapidly. And these are you can see the front 6 riders there in the one picture back to Hopkins.
Yeah, one thing you've got to be careful of, we keep saying that if you're behind a rider, you're going to get a lot of spray, that dirt is your visor, but it also obscures where you are on track. You've got to be deadly accurate and not hit any white lines or patches that you know to be slippy. So if there's somebody in front of you creating a lot of spray, then it's obviously a lot more difficult to do that.
A neat move by Haslam, and he clips through to 2nd place ahead of Hickman. I trust these lads can see a bit more than we can through certain cameras here.
Yeah, it's the way the rain's coming. It just depends where your camera is pointed. Well, wide for Haslam there. Keep up the wide lines. That's one of the dangers if you run wide in these conditions.
There's Jason O'Halloran, qualified 2nd, of course, sets the fastest lap now, 53.5 seconds. Qualified 2nd yesterday, that was, when it was slightly damp. And here's a move by Shaky Byrne. So Byrne is really purposeful here. After that mistake by Leon Haslam, he's dropped 2 places, and Shane Byrne is on the move.
Yeah, Shane Byrne and Jason O'Halloran in exactly similar conditions to this were the quickest men yesterday. So you would think this would be the way to go. But you need to ease into it, these conditions. So easy to make a mistake early on, and you just need to settle down and just steady.
Christian Hiddens passed his teammate Michael Laverty. He moves into the top 10. The other point scorers, Bridewell, Mossy, Mainwaring Smart and Danny Buchan. At the front end, this is number 4, Dan Linfoot, still leading the way. I was going to almost say comfortably, hardly that in conditions like this, but he's got 4-time champion behind him. He's got World Superbike champion runner-up behind him. He's got fastest TT newcomer Peter Hickman behind him.
Yeah, he's got Shane Byrne behind him, 4-time champion, and a man who does lead the points in the championship. So he's not going to waste any time, isn't Shane?
James Ellison being caught there by number 22, Jason O'Halloran. So the top 9 riders are pretty much at nose to tail here at KnockHill. O'Halloran coming from surely too far back there on the Honda.
Well, we just having a little look.
Yeah, but it was he certainly hand over fist closed in on Ellison up the hill. Leon Haslam once again enjoying the air under his front wheel, or the spray under his front wheel over the crest. The 9th lap of 30, almost already up to 1/3 race distance.
This is closing right up now.
Dan Linfoot in that position, James, where you have to set your own pace.
Yeah, you do. He's a good wet weather rider, so he can do that. But, you know, it's easy for somebody behind just to judge their pace, braking points, etc. off you. But when you get really close, as I said, then the rider in front spray obscures exactly where you are on track. So it is difficult to make a pass. Looks like it's coming, though.
So Dan Linfoot, number 4, who will turn 28 on the 8th of July in just a couple of weeks' time, just to say holds off the equally red Ducati. Oh, and we've got a faller. Oh, someone's displeased with that. That's Glenn Irwin down. Irwin didn't look happy at all about what happened there. He snapped back onto his feet to indicate his displeasure. So the yellow flags are waving then at the entrance to Taylor's hairpin, and the Ulsterman really miffed.
It looks to me as though he's waiting for the riders, the leading bunch, to come around the next. Let's have a look. Oh, that was Ellison. That was Ellison that gave him a little bit of an hand there, and he's angry, and I think he is waiting for Ellison to come round on the next lap. Let's have a watch of this. He is, that's what he's doing.
So he got properly shoulder charged.
He did, he got barged off there.
And he's indicating his displeasure to the packed grandstand on the outside of that bend. As Dan Linfoot, meanwhile, has been coming under fire at the front as James Ellison goes through. And that's the finger-pointing Glenn Irwin letting him know, despite the marshal's protestations.
Somebody's stationary.
I think that might be Aarons and Nottie stationary on the inside.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's Shane Byrne and Leon Haslam getting the better of Dan Linfoot. Yep. So these are the first 3 then: Ducati, Kawasaki and Honda at the front, and they will of course get in amongst the back markets fairly quickly at the moment. And Josh Wainwright trying to keep out of the way. Must wonder when this flood of riders is going to stop as they swarm past him. Christian Iden in 9th, Tommy Bridewell in 10th place. One man suffering here is Michael Laverty's now back behind Luke Mossey into 14th place on the 2nd Tyco BMW.
Haslam seems really desperate to go with Shane Byrne.
And over the crest of the rise then, they battle on between the mightily experienced former World Superbike racers here side by side. Haslam squeezes through. Oh, almost tickling the front wheel of Shane Byrne in turn 1.
That was close, and it wouldn't take much of a tip on a front wheel from your knee or any part of your bike to send the rider flying, honestly.
So the 1000cc Forsen in the Kawasaki up against the 1200cc twin-cylinder Ducati. Right behind them, the Honda Fireblade, and then Peter Hickman still hovering there in 4th place, and Richard Cooper still very much in the fray, fending off Hopkins, Ellison and O'Halloran.
The camera at Clark's, it's like looking through a kind of old-fashioned bathroom window, you know, where...
Yeah. Well steamed up after you run a hot bath.
You know that wobbly glass?
Yeah, but also, well, all right then. Yeah. Anyway,
we'll park it there.
12 laps complete out of 30. Over the top of the hill, Leon Haslam, Shane Byrne not getting away at the moment. There's Hopper trying everything he can to find a way past Richard Cooper, but little Richard is he's a clever dude when it's wet like this. He knows how to handle a motorcycle in these conditions. James Ellison, after roughing up Glenn Irwin, is looking quite strong there in 7th place out of O'Halloran.
I don't know what it's going to be like when he gets back in the paddocks. I think that isn't over. I think Glenn might be,
in fact, under investigation by race control. And they're an entertainingly fiery family, the Irwins, and you can see that Glenn is properly upset by what went on in the hairpin. Peter Hickman now beginning to threaten Linfoot. Oh, here comes Hopkins. Hopkins does squeeze underneath the build-based BMW of Rich Cooper as they drop it down into the dip.
I mean, it was a harsh move, Ellison, on Irwin, but I have to say, in these conditions, you commit yourself sometimes up the inside on the brakes. You can't slow the bike down any more than you already are doing. You're absolutely committed. So it is easy to do, but it... Oh, that's Hopper.
Hopkins, high sides out on the E-Pay-Me Yamaha. Big high side there. Really, did he touch the curb? Certainly
No,
it went quickly.
They actually dropped over the curb. Even in these conditions, they'll use a little bit of curb on the left-hand side, so maybe that's what caused it.
A shaky burn where he slipped off in the first race, but he decisively makes a move on Leon Haslam. So these two massively experienced riders, absolutely elbow to elbow over the top of the hill, and the electric knees of Leon Haslam have the line just as they go into turn one. Shaky will be ablaze at this.
Now the yellow flags are going to be out. Oh, that's run Shaky wide a little bit. That's going to cost him time. Where's Linfoot? Right behind
this
him. Is the sector. This is the chicane where they're still assessing John Hopkins. So there'll be yellow flags there. Look. No, looks like, yeah, they're still shifting. They're still clearing up.
That's a relief to see that Hopper's up and away. Because that was a heavy impact. So 91, Haslam on the green Kawasaki, followed by 67 Byrne on that black and red Ducati. And I think just ahead of them, Jenny Tidman, who celebrated her 100th British Superbike race in the first outing here at KnockHill. Completing the 15th lap, half distance in the second BSB race.
Hopkins incident is looking at the fifth bike on track, that one there. No, that was a plain and simple eyesight.
And now someone who had a big moment like that and managed to save it. Was it early in the day? Was it Keith Thomas? Said it was a kind of off the throttle thing where it just went.
Now that was just getting back on the throttle. Yeah, just the weight there's like a crest there as well. The weight just coming back on the tyres.
So John Hopkins, what a shame, vaults himself out, having just nicked 5th place from Cooper. Ellison's moved into 5th now. He's got the better of Richard Cooper and is closing the gap on his teammate Peter Hickman, the second of the two Kawasaki's there. And Jenny will find herself under a little bit of attack here. She's going to have a few more people coming past her right now because there's a huge bunch at the front. But Leon Haslam, for the first time, getting a bit of air between himself, rather damp air between himself and Shaky Byrne. And James Ellison, is he going round the outside of Hickman? Oh, and Hickman, they can't just squeeze through past Jenny Tidmouth at that point, so it all got a little bit congested just where a bit of room was needed. So the race leader, Leon Haslam, we're on the 17th of 30 laps. Philip Backlund. Philip Backlund's been caught out by conditions, and the Swede has gone down. Same place.
That's just coming out of Scotsman's. And that is down Duffers Dip, and the track is dropping away there, so when you get high-sided there, it's a long way down.
Oof. That was one of the hugest high sides. What a relief to see him able to get out and climb over the tyres.
The good news is when you hit the floor, it's wet. There's not as much sort of grip for your leather, so it doesn't just jolt you as much. But it's not much of a consolation. I've got to say to Philip, but yeah.
And this is a great battle between these two because remember, Leon now has won 3 races here. This is Ellison. He's now through into 4th place ahead of Peter Hickman.
Big difference in they've got wet weather lights on the back of all these bikes just to allow through the spray the rider following to see where you are. It's not a brake light, it's just on the whole time when it's declared a wet race. It's got to be on, it's compulsory. And if you look at Shane Burns, we'll get a rear shot. It's so bright, it's almost going to be dazzling the following riders.
Hats off to Jake Dixon after that, the impact of that first race accident. He's up into the point in 13th ahead of Stuart Easton and Lee Jackson here.
And that's O'Halloran now up the inside of Cooper. Good ride from O'Halloran from way back on the grid, and not a brilliant start even from there.
So Jason O'Halloran, who was racing the Super Sport Championship in Australia when he first got summoned across to the other side of the world to compete in World Super Sport Championship out of Brno in the Czech Republic. That was his first taste of international action.
But like so many of these Australians, just seem happy to make their life anywhere that suits what they're doing at the time. You know, they don't seem to miss home at all. They come and make a life for themselves.
And Shaky Byrne this is a tenacious ride by Shaky. He's not in any way letting Haslam off the leash, and Linfoot just hovering behind them, hoping that they might put a foot wrong.
But when have we seen Shane Byrne not tenacious? Not the behaviour you would expect from an experienced, successful rider of his vintage, really, but he still wants to seem to win with lots of fire in his belly.
And in fact, but right now he's got company once again, because the North Yorkshireman Dan Linfoot has sat right on his rear wheel now.
Yeah,
these guys are shortly going to lap Eugene Labat, sorry,
no,
Michael Labat and
Eugene Kinari. Yeah, they are just going out of shot now. That's unbelievable. The wet weather always spreads people out. People like the wet, other people don't. I mean, I can't understand why Michael's gone. Michael's a classy rider, even in the wet. Whether there's a problem with his bike or not.
And as they bounce, they almost look like mattresses, the way they bounce over that long swoop down into the hairpin, the entrance of the hairpin. Michael Laverty looks over his shoulder, gets well out of the way. He's well out of the points now in 20th place, so he doesn't really need to race on too much. Kinari just ahead of him.
And riding in these conditions for 30 laps, albeit it's a short track, it's the same mileage as what they do at Cadwell and Silverstone or anywhere else, but it's just a lot of races in these conditions it is.
Kinari, Haslam, Byrne, Linfoot, Yuichi Kinari puts his hand up and moves right out of the way, as any class act would. So 90 ahead of him, Rispoli, Hook, Seeley and Jackson may be the next people to be lapped. We're on the 21st of 30.
If you look at the leading three, Linfoot's working really, really hard. Mid-corner, I've seen him have a couple of real snap slides, you know, he's just asked the bike to go forward, he's snapped outside the straightaway.
So Linfoot would be a podium position in these conditions if he could just hold and keep things smooth and comfortable there ahead of the... But mind you, these two guys will be threatening him. Ellison, his last lap of 53.0 against a 53.1 for Hickman. But Ellison and Linfoot are lapping just about exactly the same time. Oh, Shaky's looking...
I know, fastest lap of the race, last lap from Shane Byrne, so he's pushing.
52.49. So a pretty quick lap in these conditions for Shaky.
He'll be looking to get a good run out of here at Clark's and then get up the inside going into the airfield. Let's have a look. I don't think he's... No, not close.
The Kawasaki's quick on the exit to Clark's, and also, of course, Haslam's meaty on the brakes going into the hairpin.
Meaty? Like it.
Leon Haslam completes 22 of 30 laps, so we're past two-thirds race distance. At least these lads would be relieved to know if we suddenly had an absolute explosion of rain, then the race could be called as a result. But at the moment, we'd like to see Leon Haslam and Shaky Byrne go to the wire with this one. Ernesto Marinelli, of course, the big boss from Ducati Course, is here watching this race with his girlfriend Heather Watson, the former PR lady for the Ducati World Superbike team. And they were hoping to see a good result from Shaky in the first race. He wasn't able to bring that home, not by a long margin, but now working really hard to make amends here in race 2. This has got to be really encouraging for Javier Beltran. Was chuffed after the first race, but to see Linfoot once again holding the absolute pace of the front men is a real plus for the Honda team.
I've been impressed with Dan all year, just the way he's kind of metal, you know, with the way he's got stuck in and raced for it. There's
Jake Dixon.
Brilliant ride for him.
His debut in British Superbikes. He was running strongly and entering the top 10 when he was fetched off by his mentor and manager in the first race. And here he is running in 13th place, ahead of Stuart Easton and Lee Jackson.
I went looking for him and didn't get to speak to him, but it must be so. I mean, that was a big hit he took from Wainwright. I mean, not Wainwright's fault, but it was a huge hit.
And this is... Linfoot looking up the inside of Byrne, going into the hairpin. Shaky glanced across there as if to say, where did you come from? So now, as they get the power down, the two red and black machines swap places. And Dan Linfoot in that yellow, distinctive yellow helmet through that swirl of spray might be going for the lead.
He is. He is. Well, Haslam just tried to keep it on the outside of him there, which would have put him on the inside for turn 2, but
This is a terrific race, James.
Shaky
cuts through ruthlessly. This is in spiteful conditions. This is great racing.
Absolutely great racing. I said it's wet, it's treacherous, but there is enough grip to get a good race out of them. You know what I mean? They can still get stuck in, get a bit of movement.
On his 25th lap, Dan Linfoot's getting a bit of movement. He got some on the entrance, he got some onto the exit there, but he manages to hold it upright, and he needs to. Here comes Shaky. When both of them struggling to anchor up their respective motorcycles at that point, James Ellison has got himself in a position to threaten his teammate Leon Haslam here as they launch over the top of the hill and then back it off into turn one. And now 25 laps complete out of 30. Linfoot wide into turn one.
Yeah, but he really wide because he lost the front on the brakes. That's what happened. Oh, that's the same move.
Shaky Byrne forces her way through, and Dan's that big moment of Dan really cost him some time and possibly a little bit of nerve as well.
Well, it cost him the momentum when he ran wide, but also then Shane coming past him lost him a little bit of time as well, but it was fair enough.
So at the moment, the Honda behind the Ducati, and then can I say a mini phalanx of JG Speedfit Kawasaki's in pursuit, third, fourth and fifth, Haslam, Ellison, Hickman.
I don't think he knows it yet, but Shane Byrne has a little bit of breathing space now.
Shaky could be the next person besides Leon Haslam to win two races, more than one race rather, this season, as Ellison begins to attack Leon Haslam here. James will be so keen to put a marker down against the man who's in the same garage but leading the championship.
Yeah, he won't know it yet, but he may just have a penalty, James Ellison, just because of that move on Irwin earlier on. They might just deem him it necessary to give a little... They'll give him a time penalty, which will drop him back, or they may drop him back just one place or two places, or whatever they decide.
Well, at the moment, the Cumbrian, who's... And the Cumbrian is right on the back wheel. Oh, he has a nasty twitch as they come through his. So that cost him any chance of outbreaking his teammate.
Let's have a look.
What's this?
Shane Byrne, is it? It is.
Hey!
Actually, no, he collected that really well, to be honest.
That was a really cool response to that particular moment, wasn't it? Dropping down there, 28th of 30 laps. We've got 28, 29 and 30 to go. They're within the last 3 laps towards the checkered flag. Shaky Byrne, 52.7, 53.2. Half a second better off on that lap, despite that big moment.
Yeah, they're all lapping within a tenth of a second of each other. So without an incident or making a mistake, it's going to be difficult for Linfoot or any of the others to catch Shane Byrne at this point, I think. He's trying now, they're all trying now, they're all sliding there.
Shaky Byrne has won 10 races here at KnockHill. That's twice as many as the next best, which is your former rival Neil Mackenzie. So this would be an astonishing 11th race win if he can. He's got some traffic ahead of him.
He is. This might alter things.
Yeah. Okay. It often does. And of course, when you start to come across traffic that's actually travelling quite quickly and fighting for points. So there's just one lap to go after this, though. Shaky Byrne is on his penultimate lap, so perhaps he doesn't need to get through these guys. These guys will be lapping at perhaps a respectable speed, around 54 and a half. He's doing 53.2.
He'll be pushing, and he'll not want to get held up. He'll try and get into him, I think. He hasn't got that much breathing space.
And James Ellison has got past, not only got past Leon Haslam, but Haslam has fallen back into the clutches of Peter Hickman.
Yeah.
So Ellison is now through into a potential rostrum finish. We're on the 29th of 30 laps. We have 1 lap to go here. This is Josh Hook, the Australian, leading away on the WP40 Kawasaki. There goes Shaky Byrne as James Rispoli waves a helpful leg on bike number 71 to let him know he can go through. And then Stuart Easton's in there as well.
Yeah, I think that's...
No, it's Seeley. Alistair Seeley. Who was a terrific wet weather man. I'm surprised to see Alistair that far back in the race. We're on the final lap, British Superbikes Race 2. James Ellison is lining up an attack on number 4, Dan Linfoot, because Linfoot's found himself, and once again, Rispoli, what an awareness from the Florida boy. He just flings a leg out to let those guys know that they can go through. Alistair Seeley is the next man up on the RF Reserves BMW. Linfoot, number 4, tries to get round the outside of him at his laps. He needs to do that. And Shaky Byrne up ahead of him, outbreaks Josh Hook. Here comes Ellison. He hasn't given up on this one yet as they come out of the final turn. Oh, big moment for Linfoot. That could cost him up the hill. Shaky Byrne takes his 11th race win of his career here at KnockHill. And poor Linfoot loses the drag up to the line. Javier Beltran shrugs his shoulders in resignation. It's victory, though, for the B. Weiser Ducati gang and Ernesto Marinelli. A terrific ride, an aggressive, ferocious ride by Shaky Byrne. James Ellison snatches second place, never say die, from Dan Linfoot. Peter Hickman finishes fourth. Jason O'Halloran gets the better of Leon Haslam and pushes him down to sixth place ahead of Richard Cooper. Tommy Bridewell, eighth. Howie Mainwaring Smart comes through to ninth place, past Christian Idden. But for this man, absolute exultation.
Yeah, well, of all his 60-odd wins, that will not be considered the easiest by any stretch. That was hard work and uncomfortable for Shaky Byrne. Brilliant run.
So Shaky Byrne gets congratulated by Linfoot. Linfoot unlucky that he got that. The bike snapped on him as he came out of the hairpin, and James Ellison has done enough to stay close enough. Number 22, O'Halloran, congratulates teammate Linfoot. There's number 14, Lee Bob Jackson, coming over the line. And there's Shaky.
Yeah, just got the thing lit up and just desperate to try and get it out there. Yeah. The thing spun there. That time you've got to close the throttle, and that's going to cost you time, obviously.
Wow, that was a pretty dramatic finish to a thoroughly dramatic race. I say these guys, you guys can create racing in any conditions.
Oh, sometimes racing the way brilliant for the racing, honestly.
So,
look, this is from a different angle. Look. Slide just there.
Yeah.
Actually, what you hope when that happens is the fact that the rider behind you is that close that he has to close the throttle as well to not run in the back of you.
And that will be, would you believe, as the Honda racing guys congratulate Dan Linfoot on another dynamic ride. James Ellison lights up the rear wheel of the JG Speedfit Kawasaki.
And remember, Jack, James Ellison, the incident on Glen Irwin still under investigation. So it might be a second for Dan Linfoot yet.
Congratulations all round then for Shaky Byrne, and his motivation undiminished at 39. That is his 70th British Superbike race win, ladies and gentlemen. That is far and away the most successful rider in British Superbikes now, with those 4 titles and that monumental number of race wins. So in a very, very wet KnockHill, these are the results then. There's James Ellison pushing home in second place. The MC British Superbike Championship in association with Pirelli. The second race result, Shane Byrne wins it eventually by 1.8 seconds from James Ellison. Dan Linfoot loses out on the final dash to the line for Honda. Peter Hickman finishes 4th. Jason O'Halloran nabs 5th place from Leon Haslam. Haslam, who was leading the race at 1 point, drops to 6th. Richard Cooper in 7th place for build-based BMW ahead of Tommy Bridewell, who clawed his way through to 8th on the Bennett Suzuki. Howie Mainwaring Smart, really heroic 9th from nowhere on the Smith's BMW. Christian Idden finally secures, or rather rescues, 10th place for Tyco. 11th for Danny Buchan on the Lloyd's British Motor Rapido Ducati ahead of Luke Mossey. Jake Dixon on the Briggs Equipment BMW ahead of Stuart Easton, ePayMe Yamaha, and Lee Jackson's build-based BMW gets the final point in 15th place ahead of new boy Josh Hook. After 8 races, Leon Haslam on 128 points has his lead cut back to 13 points by Shane Byrne, even on the B. Weiser Ducati. Christian Idden remains 3rd, but only by a point now from Richard Cooper on 93. James Ellison leaps up to 5th place on 89 points, clear of Jason O'Halloran 6th. Down and out of the top 6 goes Michael Laverty,